Hello, and welcome to my channel. This is Elise here of Plan with Elise, and today we are talking about word of the year. So if you are newer to the idea of word of the year, it is a word, I'm just gonna fix this a little bit. It is a word that you choose at the beginning of the year, or really whenever in the year you want to, of something that you want to carry you through the year. So my word of the year is intentional. And I talk about it in a lot of videos because when I choose a word of the year, I really try to have it carry me through all the year. And I tried that didn't make sense. Sorry, coffee hasn't kicked in yet. I try to make it part of my regular vocabulary so that it's not just something that I put in my planner in December or January and didn't look at or think about again. I really try my very best to think about how this word can be used in all areas of my life. So I had done a recent Patreon custom spread creating a word of the year for a Patreon member who never made a word of the year page for a member who never made one in her planner. And I talked about the possibility of kind of doing a, mid-year, almost mid-year anyway, mid-year update. Where are we with my word of the year and how is it going? And let's make some more pages to kind of bring me through the rest of the year. So that is what we're going to be doing today. So I have 2 pages of note paper here. Make sure that we are centered. And of course, I have Alpha Basics Volume 2 by Kelava Plan, and we are going to spell out intentional. I'm just trying to decide which of these I want to use. I think these, I really like these, but because intentional is a little bit of a bigger word, we're going to use the ruler trick. So let's do IN. This trick just kind of helps to figure out spacing on the page, but also like centering it and making sure you have enough room. INTE. Oh, are there enough N's in here? Yes, because we have 2 pages. Intentional. TI. I'll also link everything that I'm using today if you're interested in making something similar or just interested in getting these sticker books. N E N T I N T E N T I O N A L. ION. Okay. Sorry, that took me a sec. I feel like sometimes with letters like this, it's harder to see. But I wanted to go with smaller letters to make sure that I'd have enough room. Okay, now, the other thing I think that I want to do before I put down intentional is I have Pastel Florals here by Kelava Plan. I wanted to use something pretty and bright, probably because we're in a pretty and bright season because it's about to be summer. So let's take these. I also love how pastel and black look together, and I thought that it would be nice here. So let's put this down right over here. I think sometimes when I make like extra pages for my planner, this isn't gonna quite be big enough. We're not gonna use this one. I don't tend to do a ton of I'll put that back later. I don't tend to do a ton of decorating with them, but we're gonna try to get a little bit of a boost of creativity today. So let's put this here, this corner sticker. It's pretty, and then there should be one more, yes. And that will go on the other side. This may be an obvious tip, but when you're making pages in your planner that you want to be open like this, you have to open them. There have been times that I've like stacked them so that the punch is on the same side like this, and then I forget. I make them like this. So you want to, of course, keep it open. And then I feel like we can definitely pull in some washi here. What might be a nice color? I like this one. This is a planning thing washi. I think we'll use this. And then we need a washi cutting card. It's like when everything is where it's supposed to be, it's much easier to not be searching under piles on my desk. So we're gonna bring this washi right to here. It's crooked though. There we go, that's better. And then we'll put this one right up top. So what I'm trying to brainstorm now, part of making YouTube videos is thinking ahead of like, what do I want this to look like? Because I didn't quite think of it this morning, besides like knowing I wanted to do something kind of similar to what I did for my Patreon member. But I sort of want to write like mid-year word of the year check-in. And that feels like a lot of stickering if I were to use stickers for this. But I kind of feel like that's going to make the most sense here. So I'm not going to use the ruler for this part, so it should go a little bit faster. Mid-year. I'm just going to do a little bit of a space so that I can do a dash here. I probably should have centered this better, but when it's my pages, it's not that I'm like less, I guess I am. I'm less like particular about everything being perfect because nothing in life is. And when I think about things that actually matter in life, whether this is centered perfectly in my planner or not is not one of those things that really matters. So we're going to do WOTY, which is the abbreviation for word of the year. I know that last time when I did this video, there were a lot of questions about what WOTY meant, and that's what it means. So we'll do a mid-year WOTY, and then we'll go back to this font again. Is that it? No. There we go. This is it. Okay. And maybe we'll, instead of check-in, we'll do review. Because I also, now let me spoiler alert. My word of the year is working for me. I think I kind of said that right when we started. There may be times that a word of the year does not work for you. There could be, what would be a good example of something? So life changes, right? Let's look at 2020 as an example. I'm sure there were plenty of people that put a word of the year for maybe like travel or, you know, different experiences or all of that kind of stuff. And then the pandemic hit and probably a lot of the plans, many plans for the year went away. So there are times, or life changes, relationships, you know, change, job losses happen, we lose people in our lives. So not every word of the year that we choose is always going to be perfect for the entire year. I've experienced that before too. The best words I've ever had for me were release, which was 2020, balance, which was 2023, and now I think intentional has been a really, really good one. Oops, we forgot a letter. Intentional. That looks cute with the washi there. Now I'm trying to decide if I want to put the definition again. This time I think maybe I'll write the definition. So let's see. I'll do a little quote here. Done on purpose. I've never done a check-in like this. Purpose and intent. Deliberate. Brought about by one's own will freedom. We're getting sloppy. When I go fast, it's sloppy. Freedom and spontaneity. Of choice or action without external compulsion. Almost done. Full. I'd pause the video until I finish this, but I don't want to lift my hand because I'm almost finished. Of the nature. My wrist hurts. Of one's act. And its consequences. Planned or intended. Okay, there is our definition. I actually like the way that the definition looks with the actual alphabet stickers too. I think that that's pretty. I will say, as I'm looking at this, I'm kind of annoyed about this gap over here because this whole thing isn't centered. So we're probably going to go ahead and fix those. I was able to pull one up and move it, but I started having trouble with the others. So we're just going to go ahead and squeeze some undo down here. If you haven't seen undo, it is a magical item that will help lift your stickers without any damage to the sticker or the page. I could have even poured it over this and it wouldn't have messed up the writing in my planner at all, which is really nice. It's on Amazon. I'll link it in the description. If you live in California, unfortunately, you cannot purchase it because the chemicals are so strong that it is outlawed in California. They used to have a California friendly option. I don't know how well it worked, but I looked recently because someone had sent me a message asking where I found, like, because I probably mentioned it in a video, and I think that they, I don't think it's sold anymore. So we're also going to fix this once we are dry. But as you can see, I'm moving these without any trouble. Sometimes you lift them and then you give it a little bit longer to dry before putting them down because then they can move again, but this should be fine. So I wanted to show you how I was doing this because I knew we'd be able to do it pretty quickly. Okay, then we need my white pen. Just cover that up and instead do our dash over here. Yeah, I think that looks better. I wasn't trying to like intentionally be lazy about where I put them, but once I had put them down, I was like, they're fine, until they were all down and they were not fine. All right, I pulled out Black Shapes by Mojo Jojo Plans. You know that I love hexagons. So what I wanted to see is okay. What I wanted to do is see if I'd be able to get 8 or at least 7 hexagons here. And the reason I'm saying 8 or at least 7 is because I think it would be really good if I could focus this section on the categories in which I set my goals, which are based on the Moxie Life categories. I'm saying 7 would be fine because there's one category, and that's personal, where I tend to like really struggle with what to put down. So if all I can put here is 7, that's fine too. But looking at it, it's seeming like there may end up being room for 8. I'm not sure. I can't gauge that yet. But I just love how hexagons look. I wish I used them more in my regular, like, classic planner. Okay, we have 6, Can do 7 and 8. And then we're going to bring, I'm not going to add any more. We can put maybe flowers towards the bottom. So if you chose a word of the year and you haven't looked back at it, I'm not saying you should make another page in your planner like I'm doing here, which is kind of like, I don't know, a little bit of a duplicate of the page that I made. But definitely give yourself a little mid-year evaluation. I think that we often, see what we want to change about our lineup and all of that kind of stuff, but I don't know how often we're really thinking about the goals we set at the beginning of the year or the intentions we set for ourselves and how they're working out. So I put that on my hand because I wanted to remove a decent amount of the stickiness because I'm going to put it here and I want to cut it, but I was afraid that I would rip off part of those hexagons. So we're just going to slice along the lines here. And there we go. Pretty, that peels off really nicely. Then we can do the same thing. Let's find maybe another like larger size one, probably the same one will work. And you could do this with wax paper too, but I've got my hand here. This is for me. I probably wouldn't put it like on my hand if this were a spread that were going to a Patreon member. I will put it on my arm or something every once in a while, but this one is just for me. I'm keeping it, so I'm not worried. My hands are clean also. Let's do this, and then slice right here. Oops. Okay. Now, what's kind of cool about me evaluating my word of the year at this point is how much has happened. But where I was in January versus where I am now are very different places in certain areas of my life. So that's what I kind of want to focus on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I sort of want to set intentions for the rest of the year. When I sat down to film this, I was thinking this was going to be a how have I done with each of these areas. But I think it's going to be more of a, all right, we're in June. What do I need to do with each of them for the rest of the year? And I guess this is sort of like a mid-year goal video, but it's more about using the word intentional in these different life categories. So I pulled these out, and if I'm looking at the Moxie categories, we're going to do first, I feel like I need a different like size, pen tip for this. Let's see, I have a 0.4, let's do a 0.2. I think a 0.2 would be good. Okay, first up, we're gonna do finance or financial, whatever I have room for here. I think finance would give me better space. Finance, physical, environment, a little tight on space here. Finance, physical environment, health and wellness, I have to pull out my markers. Fun and recreation. That's when I know the coffee hasn't hit, when I can't think of each of the goal categories. Personal growth. Work and learning. We're just going to write work. Family and relationships, health and wellness. Okay, I'm actually going to kind of switch these up a little bit. So let me put these back. We're going to do family and friends. And relationship. I have to go a little bit lower to be able to have room here. I think that giving myself the flexibility to change up the categories of what's applying to my life currently is going to make the most sense for me here. Okay, now let's talk about each of these. So, finance. I've got to say, I have been failing at my budget planner. I have not been failing at budgeting. I'm making a budget each month in a spreadsheet. I'm sticking with it. I am not overspending. I'm saving for retirement. I'm saving for goals like extra mortgage payments. I've made some. I'm contributing to my retirement. I am following the steps of what I need to be. But I am not consistently using a budget planner right now. I don't even have one set up for June. I have a lot of ideas about what I want to do. I had all intentions on setting one up for June and creating a video showing it, but my YouTube channel calendar got too full and I just didn't have time, and that was one that got cut. So my financial goal and the way that I can be intentional with my finances is be consistent in using a budget planner and cash envelopes, which I still haven't set up for the year. That's an area I have not been intentional on. Okay, physical environment. Again, this isn't just goals, this is being intentional with them, right? So continue decluttering each room and not adding more stuff. So much about decluttering for me is not bringing in more. Some of that I have no control over. I don't have much control over the products that get sent to me. I have a little bit of control, right? If there's a brand that I'm working with, I can say no, but it's part of my job. So I don't really have control when that happens over my office, but I do have control if I buy more clothes or kitchenware or decor, things like that. So that's where I want to be intentional. Health and wellness. Stick to an exercise routine. No excuses. All right. Fun and recreation. This has been something that I have nailed it so far this year with being intentional about doing more and traveling more and getting out of my comfort zone. When I say traveling more, I just mean like going to different places. They aren't necessarily like get on a plane and go. I've been to Texas this year, but I haven't gone anywhere else, which is fine. But it's less about big travel and more about new experiences. So, um, for me, fun and recreation. What did I write that? How I spend my time. I didn't really write this when I did my original word of the year page. So I think that how I can be intentional with fun and recreation is keep going out of my comfort zone, which is a lot of what I've been doing. I have not always been like a weekday plans kind of person. It was always like, I need to get home. I need to stay home. I need to, be in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock, like just relax, watch TV, and then go to sleep really early. And the more and more I step out of my comfort zone, the less that's something I need. Actually, a really good example of that for me is Sundays. Sundays, I would always like to be home by like 3, 4 o'clock and just decompress. And the last couple of a couple of May weekends, one weekend I was away and we didn't get back until, I don't know, maybe 7:30, which was fine. And then Memorial Day weekend, this wasn't a Sunday, but it was a Monday because it was the night before work started again. We got back, I think maybe like closer to 8 and wasn't like rushing to get everything done. And it's just kind of been nice. So we're going to keep going out of my comfort zone. Work. All right. Um, this is one that I definitely have some work to do on. Work for me, when I write it in my planner, is Plan with Elise. I do not set goals for my full-time job because it's not really the type of job it is. So I had grand plans for Plan with Elise when the year started. There was a project I was working on that was going to take up a few months. At the time of filming this, that hasn't been announced yet. So maybe by the time you see it, it has. I'm not really sure yet. So we're just going to go with it hasn't been announced. But I knew that that was going to take up so much of my time with Plan with Elise. And then I was like, okay, the next 9 months of the year, I have all of these big ideas about what it's going to look like. And I haven't really done that. So we're going to go back to my original plan for 2024 and make it a priority. Now, family and friends. Schedule time to spend together. I realized last night that I don't think I've seen my mom in like 3 weeks. I think Mother's Day was the last time I saw her. And a lot of that is because I've been away a lot of weekends, but my weekends have been really filled with my relationship, and that's wonderful. But I also want to make sure that I'm still making time for my family and friends, whether it's just me, whether it's James and I together. It's really important. I don't want those relationships to change. I mean, they are going to change because my time is just different now, but I really want to make sure that I'm being intentional about seeing them, even if it's, a weekday before I have a Patreon Zoom and my mom and I grab a quick a bite of dinner or something like that. Those are the types of things that I know that I can make time for. I just have to be intentional, word of the year, about scheduling it. Okay, relationship. So when I created this original page, I wanted to be intentional with how I approached dating. And in January, I met James. Our first date was January 31st, so at the end of January. But he is who I've been waiting for. And so with my relationship and intentional, I want to continue don't know how to spell this word. Hold on. You know, sometimes when you think of a word, nourishing was the word I wanted to do. Nourishing our relationship and thinking about the future. I'm not making any massive future plans right now. We are not. However, I will say, you know, I will be 37 this summer. He's 38. And so we're not, you know, 21 and dating, right? There are things that as you get older, you start to think about a little bit differently when it comes to dating. So I feel like this section is really plain. I don't want to put a whole strip of florals up here because I feel like I don't know that I'd like how it would look. I think that I want to move the word of the year again. Well, actually, I think that I just want to put some washi under it. I don't necessarily want to move it. So this is about the right size. Here's my washi card. We're just going to rip off this piece of washi. Try to see if I can lift these words. And put the washi down. Do a little bit of a stickering trick right now. I think that I just made that too big, but it's okay. It's bigger with intentional too. But it's not centered within the word. Me and centering just are not friends, especially today. Let's try that. Looks a little bit better. Okay, that worked. It just needs to dry over here. But other than that, it's not great. I mean, I could have probably gone a little bit lower. This, I think, needs to be trimmed a little. This is too big. Come on. It's always harder to pull this at the end. I think it's fine. It's good enough. Okay. I think that added something. I like how it looks. I'm still feeling a little bit plain over here, but we're just going to leave it because I really like how this looks clean. And I think the pink and the florals and the black are really, really pretty. So that is a wrap on my mid-year word of the year review. And my word is intentional. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some ideas. Again, I'll link everything that I used in the description. Highly recommend Alpha Basics Volume 2 and Pastel Florals by Kel of a Plan, and I'll have those linked as well. So, oh wait, we forgot about personal growth. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know where I want to be with personal growth. This is the one I struggle with. So I think that we're going to leave it because I'm trying to figure out what personal growth looks like to me outside of all these categories. So it's blank, and that was probably subconscious, even though I really didn't notice it, but we're going to leave it blank, and maybe it's something that'll pop into my head at some point today. So that is a wrap. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.